Hello everyone, how's it going today? Thought I'd get a quick video on some updates to this Alien CV. It got some more work done to it in various spots and some fixes. Um, to start with, one of the main things, it was brought up in the last video that I was lacking a warp core. I had a shield on the one side over there, but on the other side I had nothing. So now it does have a warp core. And I decided to go vertically with it and to keep the player away from it by at least a block due to guardrails and or with guardrails and things like that. Um, in the process, I also added a offline protection. Um, so that area got set up pretty decently. Now, one of the bigger things that I did do was work on the hangar and actually finished it off. So pretty happy about that. So there is the back wall or the back side of the hangar now, and I went with that same arch pattern at different beveled I don't know, sizes, I guess you can say, until it went all the way to the back of the ship. Um, I, I think I like that. It breaks up everything else, so you get this big curvy thing going on right in the hangar, and that's kind of neat. I do like that. Now I have some lights here too, but they're usually not visible from the other side of the hangar, as the lights only show up when you're in a particular range. Hard to see out here in space, so um, I do plan on doing some more tweaks to it yet. Um, so besides that, I also worked on this front room, and the big point here was I needed to lower down the ramp so it meets the ground. It does work again for that. I had to add in some extra staircases to basically lower the floor of this room. And I also sealed it off, so there's a door here now separating this room from the rest of the hangar space, so it would have its own O2 environment here. In the process, I did have to build this area out a little bit more so the ramp would work. There wasn't an option for a ramp that went down one space more that wasn't in excessively bigger than the one that was there already. So my only option really was to lower the section down. Um, so other areas that have been looked at is I started getting a little bit into the front side of the third floor, um, and did a lot of craziness with blocks here, some weird lines, and a little bit more decorative than most of the rest of the ship. As in the layout, this is going to be the captain's quarters here, and the captain's quarters actually does have a couple, oh, I should leave that on. It's not finished yet, but a couple little balconies that kind of look over this hallway a little bit, I guess. One other feature I was thinking about putting in here is a little door out in this area, so if you were up on this floor and you wanted to get to the bridge really quickly, you could drop down and bam, you're right there by the seat. Um, so moving on with the rest of this floor on the ideas of it. Okay, so we've got the captain's quarters here with its balconies. Not sure how I want to do walls in here. But I did want to get some crew rooms out over to the sides here. Um, and then I was thinking about a little med bay area here with all the specialized medical gear, kind of in the center between the elevators. Um, and then this area here would be the secure bridge. Uh, Granted, a lot of this carbon substrate would be replaced with combat steel and reinforced more yet on the ceiling. Now, that is one thing that did take place on a lot of the ship is all these areas that were done up, I had to add a lot more combat steel to the inside of this and basically determine on its proximity and thickness to the exterior. And anything I didn't have to, I used substrate, but I did add quite a lot of additional combat steel, especially in those the engineering areas. they're fairly well protected. Now granted, the more I did this, of course I'm losing a little bit of interior space on the deal too, so it's not quite as big up here as it once was, and it'll still get smaller, especially when I start filling in stuff and beefing up the area. And then of course back here is the will be this little temple area. I did try something else again with the glass, so I did a couple angled strips like that. I like it better than what was there before. It still may not be final though. I might try to do something else yet with that to spiff it up. Now another thing I did do, and I guess I didn't think this through very well, but these vehicle bays that are, man, where am I? I should quit flying through walls. These vehicle bays, I did add sensors to the doors now. So basically, as soon as you get, oh come on. Maybe it's a God mode thing, but there's sensors down over here that will open up these doors on this block road here. And I found taking a HV in, like Typhoon's work in progress HV here, the doors do not open when you're parking. It keeps you high enough away from them where it's all good, and then you can dock on the ceiling. But when you drop down, and I don't think this is going to work because I'm in space, but let's get you some power. When you drop down, no, never mind. I can't. I'm in space. It doesn't move at all. But essentially, as soon as you do start to drop down, once you get in that sensor area, the doors open up. Once you clear that sensor area, the doors close again. So it actually works exactly how I wanted it to, and it was fairly simplistic. My only thing I don't particularly like about it, but I have very little options, is the placement of these sensors. I had to have it somewhere on this row to detect these doors, and it's just kind of exposed to the outside that way. It's not a big deal, but I didn't want to necessarily do that, but I can't think of another way to do a sensor on that row and not have a sensor somewhere on the bottom to do that. So that is about it. But the end is near, and basically looking at a lot less time left to finish this now. I got to fix up some things I broke on the body while doing the interior, like this over here. I've got to change my shaping on the exterior just a little bit here to accommodate the blocks I added. And it's stuff like this on the inside is why that came to be that way, so I can make these kind of nice roundish, arcish curves. But you get a pretty good idea on what the full hangar actually is looking like at this point in time. And yeah, it's got quite a bit of capacity for carrying stuff. And granted, this ship has a side effect versus my other like carrier-like ships, like the Hecat and Persis, where I didn't use any of the top of the ship as landing pads or landing decks or anything like that. So all your carrying space is within the hangar. But besides having a pretty large hangar floor area, you also got, you know, these parking spots up here, and plus 5 additional landing pads in the hangar. Now, one other thing that I originally planned on doing was to have elevators come up somewhere in the back part of the hangar to get you to these upper floors. Problem is I cut the upper floors off way over here, so they don't go as far back as I originally planned on. And then, of course, the logistics of running an elevator up these walls, especially if you wanted to get to the top floor, is pretty rough because of the angling done in this area. To keep one solid straight elevator, I'd have to bring it out much further than I'm willing to do, and like put it like over here or something like that, so you could get like a nice straight up view. But then again, it would have to be over closer to line up with the floors. I don't know. I basically just haven't figured out a way to do it nicely. And I don't really want to fill it up with like wall beams inside the hangar. I do like the open space area. So it may not get the rear elevators after all. Now, one other thing I'm happy about is on the stats, the size class of the areas that were done up. It didn't ramp it up that much more in size class. So we're at 16, getting close to 17. Technically, all that's really left is this finishing off the rest of this top floor and getting, you know, some stuff in here. But I'm starting to think now that 18, size class 18 would be more on par. I'm pretty sure I'll hit 18 though, especially when I start adding some deco things and some more lights and some parts that will be up here. So that's basically it. And I'm kind of looking forward to getting this actually done. It's been ongoing for quite a long time now. Big build for me, but hopefully you like it. Hopefully it gets some use in game eventually. I know it's going to be limited to, you know, certain servers if you're playing on servers, as in. I don't exactly know the percentage of servers that would allow size class item this large. I know it would be limited though to only servers that probably allow up to at least 20 or infinite on size class. That's unfortunate, but you know, the idea was to build a mothership, and I kind of rolled out trying to keep it class 10 or lower, and because it just won't achieve the effect it was supposed to do. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day. Now, something in a future video I might do tomorrow, or if not early next week, would be to start a new build, and it would be for Excalibur's September challenge. And that build is about building either a HV or an SV that is a maximum of size class 3. That would be basically the best you can do for building a say PvP type of ship or tank. So I've been thinking about that a little bit on how I want to do it, and I like the fact that it's limited to size class 3. So I mean, you can't just kind of go out there and build some giant death cube, which would ultimately probably win, because everyone's got the same size class restrictions and things like that. And of course, the thicker the walls are, and the more heavier steel and things used, it would start to wear in on it and make it probably slower unless you had a lot of thrust. But then, you know, if you wanted to carry stuff and things like that, I don't know. It's a good fair thing. And you know, I don't do PvP myself. In fact, I haven't really played the game much at all, even in survival as of late. But I think it's a good fair challenge, and the size class limitation on it I think makes a lot of sense, because you know, if everybody has the same restrictions, you know, PvP, whether your vehicle does good or not, would be basically on the engineering of it, and not so much on just brute force. So I really dig that. Anyway, you all have a good day. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you later.